Good morning, everyone. I'm calling this February meeting of the Livable Roadways Committee to order. I'm just gonna ask if you have a name card, if you could kind of like that. Thank you. Just because I'm still learning names. I really appreciate it. But we need to go ahead and stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll do a roll call. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. Roll call.
Councilmember Hurtak.
Here.
Cal Hardy.
Here.
Yanika Mills. Kevin O'Hare.
Here.
David Hay.
Here.
Emily Hinsdale.
Here.
Danielle Riffenberg. Larry Josephson. Karen Kress. Casey Bauer. Rebecca Hessinger.
Here.
Omar, would you please pronounce your last name for me?
Pirzada.
Omar Pirzada.
Yep, here.
Jason Jackman.
Here virtually.
Nicole Dufa.
Here.
Nicole, am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
Yeah, that's close.
Thank you.
It's good. Thank you.
Gloria Marbelangia.
Here.
Sarah Templeman.
Here.
Una Johnson. Catherine Coyle. Arizona Jenkins. Gus Ignis.
Here.
Do a quick count.
We had two folks enter the room. If you want to just say your names real quick.
Yanika Mills.
Casey Bauer.
And that should put us over for an in-person quorum.
Great. Thank you so much and welcome, everyone. Are you here for public comment? Did not think so. You familiar. So is there anyone online for public comment today? Does not seem so. Okay, we can go back. We need to approve the minutes from January 17th. If anyone has a motion or any comments. Okay.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Oh, and I'm sorry, David made the motion, Cal seconded. Okay, and now we have no actual official business today to approve, but we do have some status reports, so this should be fun. Okay, who doesn't love a good status report? This. Yeah, this one, the safety performance targets, we talked about it video last week. It is depressing, but it's a federal requirement. So here we are. Good morning, Dr. Wong has, I didn't realize. Sorry. As people are coming in, I'm trying to catch everybody.
Can everyone online hear me all right?
Yes, we can hear you, Connor.
Yes, that's affirmative.
All right, Connor Trejos McDonald. I'm here to present the 2024 safety performance targets. A quick refresher on performance measures or performance targets. They're required by MPOs out of the MAP 21 legislation, which is the Moving Ahead for Progress in the 21st Century Act of 2012. And it's been refreshed in the IIJA, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. It creates a streamlined performance-based and multimodal program to address the many challenges facing the U.S. transportation system. And there's 6 categories of targets. To name a few, one's pavement bridge condition, another is travel time reliability, another is transit asset management. And today we're working on safety performance targets, which are renewed every February. So of the safety performance targets, there are 7, 5 are required, as you see at the top, and 2 are elected by the Hillsborough TPO, one being the number of fatalities, and the other being motorcycle fatalities on a 5-year rolling average. Before I begin, I'll just explain that we our methodology is to apply a 1% reduction factor, and that's based on available funding that's outlined in the 2045 LRTP. It's also supported by FDOT and HART every year. Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question. If you could explain what motorcycle fatalities are before we move on, because that was very important to the TPO and we did not realize what it encompassed.
Absolutely. So motorcycle fatalities is going to be, I think what we were explaining that in non-motorized fatalities, pedestrians and bicyclists, and motorcycle fatalities would include like mopeds as well. Scooter. I don't know if scooters are included, but I think motorcycles are. There were no scooter fatalities, so that's why I don't know, but mopeds are included. So annual actual fatality, we did see about our projected number was about 199 in 2023. So applying that 1% reduction factor, recommending a target of no more than 197. Annual fatalities on a 5-year rolling average. In past years, we have seen an increase. And because it's a 5-year rolling average, those anomalies in about 2021, 2020 made for a higher number. So that's why you saw that increase in recent years. However, we have seen that decrease in recommending a target of no more than 216. Fatality rate per 100 million vehicle miles traveled. Again, seeing a reduction, recommending a target of no more than 1.49. Motorcycle fatalities. This has been more or less across, varying. Last year we did see an increase, meaning in 2022. In 2023, we saw a slight decrease, recommending a target of no more than 37.93. Annual serious injuries on a 5-year rolling average, we have seen a decrease even before these charts, even before the dates of these charts. So we're recommending a target of no more than 940. Serious injury rate per 100 million vehicle miles traveled. Recommending a target of no more than 8 or 6.52. I'm sorry, I can't see the number there. Annual non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries, we are seeing an increase here, unfortunately. So with those higher numbers, and a 1% reduction factor, recommending a target of no more than 240. So the report card, as you can see, we met 6 of the 7 targets set last year. The one we didn't meet was motorcycle fatalities, being slightly above. I also wanted to point out that non-motorized fatalities and injuries were right at that number. So the takeaways, the targets not met were motorcycle fatalities, and another takeaway is that non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries are seeing upward trends. So what can the TPO do, or what's the local relation implementation? MPOs and local governments can design and prioritize safety projects in the capital improvement plans. We continue to program safety studies in the UPWP, as well as in the TIP, continue to prioritize safety projects that are lower cost and or shovel ready. The Hillsborough TPO, thanks to Lisa, also has a Lisa and Jean, I believe, has a speed management action plan in 2019. One is to design one of these recommendations is to design self-enforcing roadways. Another is to set and communicate safe speed limits, and another is to enforce safe speed limits. So here are the 2024 proposed performance targets. A quick review. Again, the annual actual fatalities no more than 197. Another notable one is motorcycle fatalities on a 5-year rolling average, no more than 37.93. Serious injury per 100 million vehicle miles traveled, again, no more than 6.52. And this is a status report, so the TPO board has approved these targets, but I will take any comments or questions.
Self-regulating roadways for speed. Do we have an example locally of where that's been successful?
I'm sorry.
The self-regulating speed roadway that it was on one of your slides. It said self.
Yes, design self-enforcing roadways.
Have we, and that was in the 2019 plan, right? So from 2019 to now, has any roadway in Hillsborough County been designed as a self-enforcing roadway? Do
Would
we
you like
know?
me to answer?
I don't know, I'm just curious.
If you want to jump in, but I know that, we've had some roadways redesign that have been really effective in seeing crashes reduced. I'm not sure that they were specifically like, let's see about reducing, the speed limit, but if you look at Nebraska Avenue, you look at Fletcher, there's some other roadways like East Hillsborough, I don't know how they're doing there with the speeds, but it came out of the TPO board meeting that maybe doing some before and afters to show the effectiveness that some of these roadways have, the effect they've had and the benefits they've had. So I've done some of that research and already can see that the
Because
crashes have gone down, but I don't think we did like speeds before and speeds after.
Fletcher was, right? Fletcher, yeah, but that was, that was.
Well, that's great.
I mean, that's-
Get good data that way,
Right.
because it's been around for a little bit. Cal, have you guys done anything in the city?
Yeah, so like Bayshore Boulevard would be an example where we did the restriping and added the crosswalks and lower the speed limit. And then we have data, but it's not particularly, it's data from the radar feedback signs, which are kind of not the best way to get data, to be honest. And then, but we have a bunch, I mean, basically, everything that we design is designed to a speed limit. So whether Davis Boulevard would be another example, Harbor Island, all of our roads, just even limiting lane width would be one way to do that. But we do have speed controls that are set, like speed tables and stuff on Harbor Island that basically are set at the speed limit. You can take them at the speed limit, but generally most people slow down a little bit more on those. So yeah, there's some things with that, and then vertical and horizontal control as well.
Can I just add one thing? I should be jumping in ahead of you guys, but the, Connor alluded to the fact that we have, the county and the city and the TPO now have successfully received grants with Safe Streets for All. And the one that we are working on now is specifically about speed, the approach speeds to signals. And if you, if previously we get the, sometimes we've over the years gotten the average speed of a roadway, like the average speed of vehicles traveling on a roadway. But it takes into account like all the time they're stopped at an intersection. It might look like the average is really slow, but in between those signals, they're flying. So we do have, hopefully that grant, we received the grant, we're kind of working through some of the particulars, but that will test that and kind of using signal timing and some lower cost operational changes and to see how that affects how people are, how fast they're driving.
Yeah, I would add to it, to the issue that we've had in the past is basically it's hard to program, but we run on 1 year budget cycle and you can program everything out 5 years, but you never really know what you're gonna end up with. And especially with inflation and everything like that over the last couple of years, it's been difficult really to program a project. So on the planning side, you kind of, you have these projects that you're developing, but sometimes you can slot another one in based on budget, what's available, like development fees and stuff like that. So you don't really have an opportunity to get the before data. So I do think it would be better, it would be nice for the city to have more, maybe before data like already in hand, like through various speed studies on corridors, like maybe even look at having the TPO do something like that where we have a citywide or countywide or region-wide speed study that, for what Gina was talking about, like what is the actual travel, not the travel speed, what is the actual speed that vehicles are traveling? So that would help out for just kind of getting all the pre-data out of there so that we can be a little bit more lean and like build stuff at a good clip.
Emily.
To build on that, I mean, I think what we're looking for maybe is more of a regular progress report, like a Vision Zero progress report that we could see coming out of the TPO. We have our Lovely Speed Management Action Plan from 2019, but it's just a piece of paper unless we can see places where it is being enacted. As we're developing the LRTP right now, shouldn't we be looking at that? Shouldn't we be regularly checking back and saying, is this happening? Are we, like, I know that this is a report that's required by FDOT. We have to look at this every year, but there's a lot more detail that we really need to decide whether we are. It is, as you mentioned, very disheartening to look at our targets 216, yay. So why aren't we looking at some of the things that we are doing, whether they are effective or not, and starting to zone in then on where it is not effective, rather than just reporting how we are failing at really making meaningful reductions beyond 1%, which is hardly going to get us to 0 anytime soon. So is that something that we can request, is a Vision Zero progress report? It's something this group has talked about a lot.
We did one after 2 years after the plan, and I think it's a good time to look into do another one. I think that's a good idea. I've been thinking about that anyway. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, also, Arizona has joined us. Good morning. And then while he's getting ready, Omar, you're new, right? Tell
Yeah.
us, would you like to introduce yourself and say a few words?
Yeah, sure. Yes, my name's Omar. I'm the new planner at Hart, working with Justin and Jesus over there. Yeah, I graduated my master's in urban planning from Florida State about 2 years ago. Worked in consulting for a little bit and saw this opportunity to come to Hart, where I actually interned in like 2019 and like discovered planning and all that. So really grateful for the opportunity. I'm from Brandon too, so it's just awesome to be able to serve and help out. Thanks for having me.
Well, welcome. We're happy to have you. And you'll get to answer all these questions. For all.
Frank needs to just share his screen. He's online. Okay, let's ask him. Frank, can you hear us? I see you. I didn't know if you could share your screen or you want the video first.
Either one, that's fine. I could certainly share my screen. And
It's upstream.
It appears online he's already sharing.
Well, there we go.
can you see that?
Just you.
Before we saw your drive and all your files, but you switched screens.
So sorry, it actually says that only meeting organizers and presenters can share. So I don't know if I've been made one or not. Or if you just want me to advance, or if just do this where we work it from.
Make sure you organize it. I also have access to your slides, but we can also take a little recording.
Oh, there we go. I got you. I'm good now.
Okay, let's say it. I'll
If
see.
someone
It
makes
might
a
beat
recording-
me.
Like, someone. Yeah. That recording makes you.
It looks great
Thank you.
online.
So good afternoon. We'll start with the presentation first. My name is Frank Wazinski. I'm the manager of marketing communications for Hart. I'm going to be presenting on the Hart for All campaign today. So the concept for the Hart for All campaign originated from Hart's chair, Luis Vieira, whose brother has intellectual disability, and tasked Hart staff with developing an autism awareness campaign. The campaign is near and dear to Chair Vieira and me as well, as my mother had a stroke over 20 years ago and became blind and cognitively disabled due to a stroke. While developing the Hart for All campaign, the scope of it evolved beyond autism awareness to an awareness and inclusion campaign that targets everyone with an intellectual and/or physical disability. And I'm going to provide an image caption just for those in the room that may be visually impaired. The slide includes an image of a Tampa Bay Times op-ed from Chair Vieira titled, "Let me tell you about some of the bus riders in Hillsborough. Hart is a lifeline for many Hillsborough residents. We need to make the bus service more transparent and better." So,
I think you need to advance your slides. We're only on the cover slide.
did it advance? I'm sorry.
No.
There was a delay when I was presenting.
There. Oh, there goes. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Sorry, one of the great benefits of developing the Heart for All campaign was reigniting community relationships that had somewhat dimmed as the world was gripped by a pandemic. Heart worked with disability advocacy and training groups, local, like such as the Center for Autism and Related Disabilities, CARD USF, to create an education and awareness campaign for those with intellectual and physical disabilities on how to ride Heart. Heart for All is intended to be a conversation with the community on how we can make our service more accessible for all. So that's the main intent behind this, is not to say that Heart is doing everything, 100% proper, but it's to say that we're committed to striving to make our service more accessible for everyone. The slide includes the Heart for All logo with a collage of individuals and the words accessibility, mobility, independence. Community education, rider education is the primary focus of Heart for All. The campaign features a guide for prospective riders and a quick tip flyer, and will ultimately lead to the return of the Heart Travel Training Program, which was paused during the pandemic. For those that don't know, the Heart Travel Training Program is probably was one of the best kept secrets, I think, in Hillsborough County. It was open to everyone of all abilities to utilize the service, and included a free first trip. We'd have a travel trainer that would provide materials ahead of time, plan a trip, and then go out with the individual either the first time, or sometimes it takes multiple sessions to get them comfortable with using the service for their needs. In addition to the rider guide and external education pieces, Heart for All includes a best practices guide for Heart employees. Our Heart for All partners are also part of conducting refresher training for staff, such as Lighthouse for the Blind and Low Vision. Our Heart for All partners are also part of conducting refresher training for staff. Training includes everything from wheelchair securement and sensitivity training to presentations such as the Sunflower program for those with hidden disabilities. The slide features an image of a Heart employee assisting a rider with a mobility device and using Heart's new Q-Strength securement system. As the campaign name suggests, Heart for All is about Heart being there for all in the community, regardless of ability. Some of the outreaches in support of Heart for All include the Coffee Night, People, ADA Town Hall with Chair Vera and Heart CEO Scott Drainville, ADA Day, Cane Quest, and the recently launched Heart Ambassador Pilot Program, which features operators assisting patrons at transit facilities onboard vehicles en route. The slide features an image from Cane Quest with an operator assisting an event participant on the Heart Plus ramp. Just as important as the rider education component is the disability awareness aspect of Heart for All. A series of videos were created featuring Heart Plus riders. Sam Piazza is a rider who utilizes Heart Plus for work at PDQ in the gym, where he trains for the Special Olympics. And then there's another video with Tyler Gatto, who is a visually impaired Heart Plus rider, who at the time of filming was about to graduate from the Lighthouse for the Blind and Low Vision's Transition for Teen program. The video intends to highlight the amazing work of our partner at the Lighthouse for the Blind and Low Vision and show how our organizations partner to assist individuals with a disability in gaining and maintaining independence. Heart is also partnering with Hillsborough County Public Schools on an inclusion art contest, and will promote disability awareness throughout the year by highlighting Autism Awareness Month, Disability Pride Month, Disability Employment Awareness Month, and more. And so some of the examples, the way we'll do this is, working with CARD USF to identify individuals that could record disability awareness messages for onboard our buses, utilizing social media messages and videos, and community engagement. And then finally, the next steps, I kind of mentioned in there, the big piece of this is bringing back our Heart Travel Training Program. Heart is currently hiring for a bilingual travel trainer, and staff is working to develop new program promotional materials. And as I mentioned, we initially focused on an autism inclusion guide and material targeted at those with ASD, autism spectrum disorder. The next steps are to work with our community partners in the Heart ADA committee on additional rider education material. So an example of that would be possibly, creating a visually impaired guide for those, working with our partners at Lighthouse for the Blind and Low Vision and others in the community to develop that and focus on additional material. Now that's all I had as far as slides. I don't know if you all were able to play the video then with Sam.
Mike, are you able to?
Yes, yeah.
Sure.
And I apologize for not being there in person. I have a commitment at 10 o'clock, so.
Mike, would you like me to try to play it from here?
I could try to share it here if you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Frank, you could either share it or I could try to share my screen because I have it loaded.
Sure, we'll see if can
There
you
you
all
go.
see that?
Yes.
Great. Let's see if this works.
Here.
There's a setting for,
Share audio.
yeah.
This one.
Makes it easier to know that Sam
All he needs to go up.
Yes.
It also gives him a feeling of independence. He works Monday through Friday and he finishes at 2 and has his lunch and they pick him up near 3 o'clock.
So Sam has been a team member here at PDQ Farrellwood for more than 10 years, and we like to call him our kind of brand ambassador. He's really been a part of this community and part of this restaurant for so long that people actually come here to see Sam. They love seeing him at the restaurant. And he really has several functions. He's here working in the dining room, helps in the heart of house in the back, helps bring food out to guests, and really just helps with the overall operation here at PDQ. Sam is on time every day. I mean, he's excited to come to work. He loves being here. So for Sam to be able to get to work every day and go home, it's vital for him to have that transportation. And Hart has been a great partner to Sam and his family and the PDQ because he's able to get where he needs to go every day and allows him to have a job and be able to pay the bills and have a great lifestyle. And so without that transportation, it'd be very difficult for Sam to be able to be a part of our team. And it's so important to Sam's everyday life.
Sam comes twice a week for half an hour. Now we're about 2 months into powerlifting training for the Special Olympics. Never had a problem with Sam not coming in, not showing up. Got to be his reliable transportation with Heart Plus. I mean, they get him here every day on time.
Experience with Sam has been very positive. I take him to Crunch Fitness, I take him to work, and vice versa. I pick him up from those places as well, and then as well as bringing him home. And he doesn't forget you, doesn't forget who you are. He knows exactly who you are when you come to pick him up, and it's been really positive.
Being with Heart and just have that independence and freedom that I have. And I love interacting with the clients. I love talking to them. They look past my disability because they see me as a person with a disability. But I like sticking with Heart Plus because Heart Plus gives you more aid to work with.
So I'll take any questions then if there are any kind of questions but the intent of the campaign, like I said, it's not just to promote heart service. It's also, there's a big disability awareness component to this. And also, really focusing on providing, rider education materials and being more accessible, both, internally, like I said, working with our partners to make sure staff is aware of things like along the way during this, we learned of the Tampa International Airport Sunflower Program for those with hidden disabilities. Things like that, where we can, find ways to be just even slightly more sensitive and inclusive to those throughout the community.
Arizona. Do we have access to the other video?
Yes, I could certainly play the other one if you all would like for that.
Yes, he'd like to see that one. He said it's better.
Are you in it? That's what I want to know.
Yes.
Logan?
Can you all see that?
Yes. Yeah, we can't hear it though.
So you can't hear that?
Oh, what's on the screen? Now we can't hear it.
I'm not sure how to make the auto show up to us.
Let me look it up on YouTube. Just click there.
I could try. Frank, would you be able to put the link in the chat?
Yeah, absolutely. There's the link right there.
Perfect. All right.
Yeah, having transportation for like just fun stuff or like just like school is very important because it's like everyone needs a break, but if you can't go anywhere, you get kind of like cooped up and you're like stressed more. And then it's like nice to have easy transportation for school so you can get a better job or just like be able to just learn equally and fairly without having to worry about like super expensive like cars since they're like visually impaired. People can't really drive, so it's hard for them. So 100 Plus is really helpful because it's cheap, it's a lot more accessible, and make sure you have a fair chance of getting somewhere like other people.
The transition program is designed essentially to prepare students for life after high school. So for some that might be getting ready to go to college, it might be joining the workforce or going off to a trade school or technical school, whatever their goals are for after high school. But we provide job readiness training, career exploration, and work-based learning experiences, which is what Tyler's participating in now, so that students just have a better idea of what to expect, how to just be successful contributing members of society and be proud of their accomplishments and be able to give back to others as well. But as students get older, we want them to start to learn how to use the public transportation system on their own. So we've done field trips where we take trips using the HART fixed line bus. But for some students, if they maybe transportation is more prohibitive or they don't have access to the typical fixed line routes or crossing complex streets, HART Plus is just such a great option. It allows them to be so much more independent. They can schedule on their own time. They don't have to have a parent or a relative or family member to take them places. They really can just do what other teenagers or younger adults are doing, just go where they want to go, when they want to go. So it's just so crucial for them at this stage, still having support of our transition program to learn these skills and to be able to work with HART and HART Plus to get the right training so that they are prepared for when they graduate and when they're essentially on their own.
Yeah, so that video, that feature Tyler Gatto, that was the visually impaired
Is now
student
1:30.
with the Lighthouse for the Blind. and low vision, and he was transitioning out of the program, the program into he was going to attend HCC the next year, and it just shows the partnerships within the community and working together to help provide mobility and independence for those in the community that need it. So.
I have a question about funding. How is the funding for these programs, the Heart Plus programs that help folks with disabilities get where they need to go?
Sure. Well, it's a federally funded program. I mean, Omar, I know he just joined, but he might be able to speak more to it. But it's federally funded. It is a costly service to operate overall, being an on-demand service. But Heart along the way, we've expanded the zones beyond what's required federally. But it is a federally funded program.
I think you pretty much covered it.
Okay. Do you all know if this is coming to the TPO to see?
I'm not aware right now.
I don't think it's a.
Yeah. I was saying, Mr. Jenkins just saw the presentation, so I apologize that you got a second take of it. But yeah, I am presenting this at the disadvantaged committee on Friday, I believe, as well.
When is the next Heart for All meeting?
Typically, so those have come from the chair in terms of the town halls and things like that we've been doing. We don't have one scheduled up at the moment right now. But it's really working with, like I said, working with our ADA community and things like that to develop new materials. And we're always out in the community soliciting feedback and suggestions. So.
What about the kids to you doing this when you train the driver? That you can
training the drivers.
You train the drivers. Because need more. They know
but the new ones are.
Yeah.
They need to be trained.
Did you hear that, Frank? Our Zoner was just mentioning that the drivers shown in the video were really great. Like they've been there for a while, but the new drivers might need a little more training.
Yeah, and that's definitely, Mr. Jenkins, we certainly understand that part of it, and we definitely, we're definitely, that's part of this, having refresher training consistently with that, and sensitivity training. We do have some new operators, as you mentioned. It's the transit industry. You're getting more and more hiring, trying to get new employees to come in. And so, yeah, we certainly understand your comments and definitely, want to work to make sure that they're up to the standard. So.
Gus.
Yeah. As somebody who's functionally disabled, you guys don't know, I have a vision problem, I can't drive, It's very difficult for the average transit user to use this efficient system. It's almost like I should go be disabled to get better service in the heart system. Once an hour bus routes, are almost impossible to live a life that's not standing on a bus line. And once the summer comes, that becomes debilitating in its own right and forces even less people to ride the buses here. We have non-covered bus stops. Just the system itself, since pre-COVID, has become more and more deficient for a rider. It's almost unusable. I've almost had to switch to the line micro system to get around. Regardless of time of day, regardless of at night. Night is almost impossible to use HARP here. And Omar and I were just discussing, I understand that we have better service on the 100, on the 400, which is north and south to the university area, and the 1, which is that, and the 6. Everything else is almost unusable. You know, I live in West Tampa, and to go to the 7, which runs from downtown to HCC, is once an hour. You know, to commute from West Tampa into downtown to go to work or to transfer to somewhere else is once an hour. That is not efficient. It's not usable for the everyday user. It's great. I look at Heart Plus and I'm like, how do I get on that? Because I can't get on it. You know, as a 62-year-old, partially sight disabled, but I don't want to be disabled. I want to go to work and do what everybody else does. And our system, I was lucky enough in the last year to ride and lack of regionalism is a problem here. You know, I can get around sometimes internally. I worked by Tyrone Square Mall and I commuted every day. And once I got into Pinellas, it's a significantly different system that works. It sounds horrible, but you have multiple buses, multiple times within an hour. This is becoming more and more difficult to even ride the system here in Hillsborough. You know, we have a funding issue, and we have a funding issue and a county commission issue. I understand all those, but you're not attracting people. It's amazing how even the difference between Pinellas and here, people here, I'm not riding a bus. I mean, I know people that need to be riding it and they're like, I'm not getting on a bus. There's like a social stigma in Hillsborough County that if you ride the bus, there's something wrong with you. You know, and scheduling, I know probably our Heart Plus program is not perfect, but it's almost better than the regular system. So there needs to be some development, at least from the everyday rider's point of view. I mean, we need improvement, or it's going to further decline. And while there may be federal money for Heart Plus, the regular heart system is just going to die. I mean, I don't know
That's why I was hoping that we could get the Heart for All presentation in front of the PPO to have some of those discussions. I think that would be really important. So I'm going to suggest that.
Yeah, well, and just to, you know, you bring up some great points, and I wouldn't counter any of the thing that you said. You know, I rode the bus myself for 4 years until I just had a child. And yeah, there's definitely a lot of deficiencies within the system. You mentioned pre-COVID, you know, just to get back to pre-COVID service levels would be roughly about $15 million to $20 million annually. And so when you think about what that means in terms of having a service that works for everyone, that's, you know, 30-minute service, the majority of our routes and things like that. You know, we are doing the best that we can. You know, Omar's team, Justin Willits, is incredible in trying to partner with the city of Tampa projects, to partner with the county, to try to get funding from, you know, Hillsborough County schools and certain things to pay for service. But, you know, to be honest with you, that's kind of the reality we live in, is that, you know, we're trying to piece together things and be creative in how we provide service. Now, we are working on things that we can control in terms of scheduling and doing some things with, you know, working at trying to improve transfers and things like that. But, you know, I live in Brandon. I'm very familiar with an hourly bus service and trying to make that work for your daily life. And so, you know, we certainly understand where you're coming from. You know, that's why with the Heart for All, we are trying to work on the customer experience better. And like I said, improving the things that we can do to be more accessible for everybody, you know. But we certainly hear you. We definitely understand that. But you know, the thing is, it's not a cop out to say that the funding in a lot of ways does, you know, kind of predicate what we do, though, you know.
Arizona?
I mean, you think you're going to allow us? I don't, you may not want to allow us because without us, you can't, you don't have that much of a benefit. So when you put the trip, that's where you're going to go. Okay, and we want to dedicate the time. You want to be there all the time. You want to be so you think you can help us maybe a little bit better. It's a little bit better for you to get around the door. But the time frame, okay, you know, it might be waiting an hour, maybe waiting for 2 hours. Because again, this thing is a shared life. It's not everything. That means you're gonna have to go all over town before you get where you get.
Yeah, I just want to say too, I mean, I agree with everything that's been said. You guys made some great points, Frank. I just want to piggyback on pretty much what you said. I think a lot of it is just trying to make do with sort of the limited resources that Art has and trying to spread them as best as we can, but we're not perfect at it. It's very hard to be perfect at it, but like to your point, I think it's just listening as best as we can and trying to improve what we do on our side on planning and just kind of striving towards that. So even like, like if we just get a little better every time, hopefully we get to something that's, good. That's the goal. Obviously money helps with that, but I think just, listening to people and talking and hearing what works and what doesn't work and, success challenges. So thanks to both of you for just talking on that too.
Yeah, and one last thing too. So just to kind of give a quick example of some of this stuff, like we've pulled together an on-time performance committee with drivers and different operations staff, planning staff. We're trying to get frontline employees that, both on the paratransit side and also on the bus side together to kind of look at ways of how we can improve our on-time performance and things like that, and look at how we develop different routes and services. So that's some of the stuff that we're trying to do, in terms of what Mr. Jenkins said about the shared ride aspect of it. We had an issue where, people would have to go to Brandon to get their, to go completely out of the way go to use this Heart Plus service, even though say they're going to South Tampa, they get sent out to Brandon or something like that. And so we're working with trying to do things differently in terms of how we operate our service. We've got now van operators that are actually helping with the trip planning for the Heart Plus trips and things like that. So we're trying to do some things differently within our constraints that we're operating in. So I just wanted to kind of expand on that.
Rebecca?
I just wanted to add, this is not a commentary on how hard that works. I mean, been watching this for the 8 years I've been with the county, and it's just steadily gone down the hill. This is a political problem. I don't know how to solve it, but it is not. I can only imagine how frustrating it is to see all the needs and be a part employee and not be able to cover them. So just know that we would really appreciate how hard you guys work.
That is one of the reasons I suggested we go ahead and bring this in front of the TPO. I think it's a very important reminder of the importance of bus service for people who have no other way to travel. So I think it's very critical that we and the videos too, making sure we show both videos. Maybe even if we can get it in front of the TPO, having some of board members, maybe Gus in Arizona, be able to be online to share some information or their personal experiences too. I think it's very important. So, but we have anyone else? And we have our Larry Josephson has joined us, and then we have a request to actually go to D first because they are online right now. Thank you so much for your presentation. I really appreciate it. An FDOT representative is online for the Gibson Drive.
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Can I share my screen? Okay.
There we go.
You can see it?
Yeah.
All right. Good morning. My name is Ashley Hensel. I'm a representative of the Florida Department of Transportation. I'm here today to talk to you all about the Gibsonton Drive PD&E study. With me online today is Kirk Bogan. District 7 Environmental Management Engineer. I also have Jeff Novotny, the consultant PM with American Consulting. They may jump in and help me answer some questions later on. So this project, the Florida Department of Transportation, in coordination with Hillsborough County, is conducting a PD&E study for Gibsonton Drive from Fern Hill Drive to US 301. We are here to update the TPO committees. We were supposed to come in advance of the public hearing, but it didn't happen yesterday. So give you a brief update after the public hearing. Okay, Gibsonton Drive is a Hillsborough County roadway. The length of the project is just under 1 mile. The existing roadway has 4 travel lanes, 2 in each direction. There are existing sidewalks on both sides, except for a small gap west of Kenda Drive. The existing right-of-way width varies throughout the corridor from 125 to 150 feet. The no-build alternative, which involves only routine maintenance, will remain a viable alternative during the PD&E study. The purpose of this project, sorry, there we go. The purpose of this project is to address future roadway capacity issues as well as improve safety conditions. Gibsonton Drive exhibits crash rates which are higher than the statewide average for similar state facilities. The project will also provide improved mobility for pedestrians and bicyclists along the corridor. Expanding Gibsonton Drive from 4 to 6 lanes is consistent with the cost feasible plan portion of the 2045 Hillsborough County TPO's long-range transportation plan. There are no phases for design, right-of-way, or construction funded in the CIP or the current 5-year FDOT work program. Through coordination with Hillsborough County staff, the preferred alternative includes widening Gibsonton Drive from 4 lanes to 6 lanes with a 22-foot wide median. There will be 2 11-foot and 1 12-foot travel lanes in each direction with curb and gutter and a 10-foot wide sidewalk on each side of the roadway. The road widening was shifted to minimize right-of-way requirements, impacts, and costs. Intersection improvements along Gibsonton Drive at US 301 are included with the proposed improvements. 1 new off-site stormwater management site and 1 new floodplain compensation site are proposed to accommodate the improvements. The preferred alternative connects to the future construction of the Gibsonton Drive at I-75 interchange, which is under design by FDOT as work program item segment number 437652-2. Up to 30 feet of additional right-of-way is required along the north side of Gibsonton Drive, and up to 7 feet of additional right-of-way is needed on the south side, just west of US 301. The project team evaluated environmental effects in the alternative analysis. The project alternatives were evaluated for impacts on natural and cultural resources and on the social and physical environments. There are no significant impacts to natural or cultural resources, contamination sites, and noise abatement is not feasible or cost reasonable. To accommodate the roadway widening and anticipated off-site stormwater and floodplain compensation sites, acquisition of additional right-of-way is anticipated. 20 parcels may be affected, 18 partial and 2 full parcels, which will include 3 potential residential relocations and 1 potential business relocation. The evaluation matrix compares the right-of-way acquisition requirements, environmental impacts, and costs of the preferred build alternative to the no-build alternative. As noted, there are no significant impacts to natural, physical, or cultural resources with the preferred alternative. The preliminary cost of the project, including design, right-of-way, and construction phases, is just over $38 million in today's costs. After the public hearing, the study team will gather, review, and consider all public input and update the project evaluation. The draft study documents will be updated and submitted to FGOT's Office of Environmental Management. We anticipate location and design concept acceptance by summer 2024. We held a public hearing last night, February 20th, at the Riverview Public Library. You can still go online and view the project documents and make comments until March 1st. Here is the project website. You can scan the QR code as well for the project website information. And if you have any questions, you can contact me, the project manager. Thank you for your time today. And remember to be alert today, alive tomorrow. Safety doesn't happen by accident. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Yes, David.
What's the design speed?
The design speed, Jeff, is it 45
Yes.
miles an hour?
45 miles an hour is the posted and the target speed, yes.
So it will be following our study done in 2019. It's designed for 45. Why is and I'm not a transportation person, but the widest lane, which I assume we've always kind of learned that the wider lane usually is the fastest lane. The widest lane is right up near the people that are walking. Is there a reason why that is instead of it's near the median where nobody would be at?
Yeah, we have the wider lane on the outside that can help accommodate buses.
Can't a bus cannot function in an 11-foot lane? It can, right?
It can, however, they have to be on the outside to pull off to make their stops. So we put the wider lane on the outside. Also, when you have narrower lanes, it does help reduce speeds. So we're having those narrower lanes on the inside to help hopefully calm traffic a little bit as well.
Well, I know we would all love hard to be able to have buses down that road every 15 minutes, but right now down that road, there's no buses on the weekend. And it's 1 an hour, right? During the day, I think, on that route. One an hour. So
yeah.
I don't know if we should be putting a 12-foot lane next to people for a bus that maybe one day would get frequent service down, but I don't think that's a priority corridor either.
It's not what we're making.
Right,
The
so.
12-foot lane also helps accommodate heavy truck traffic, which
Oh,
comes through this
okay.
corridor as well.
Again, why would you want the heavy truck traffic right next to families walking, people biking on that? To me, it doesn't make any sense what this is showing.
Okay.
It goes, I think, against a lot of stuff that we've talked about for years here. So I would, I'm not the whole group, but I would encourage you to start over.
Yeah.
And because this doesn't, I think, meet a lot of what this board stands for, at least in my opinion, but.
You need to. Oh, okay. Larry.
Is this part of the road belong to the county or the state?
This is a county road.
Okay, and so have you seen our new typicals that we have provided?
We did prepare this project in coordination with Hillsborough County. They reviewed and approved this typical section.
Okay, so the green space between the shared, I guess you're calling it a sidewalk, but it's like a shared use path.
It's a wide sidewalk, yes.
And so in our new typicals, you have 3 foot and varies. So what does the varies mean? Because in our new typicals, that space is about 8 feet for landscaping, and that would give separation that David Hay is talking about.
Jeff, can you jump in here? You're muted.
Yes, during our coordination with the county staff, the preference was to provide the sidewalk as far away from the roadway as possible. So where we have the ability in terms of right of way, we're putting the wide sidewalk as close to the right of way line as we can, and it does create areas where it's greater than 3 feet. But there are some areas where we're trying to minimize the right of way acquisition and relocations, and 3 feet was where we landed as the minimum. There are areas where the sidewalk is adjacent to a right turn lane where it is less than 3 feet.
And
Sorry.
also, what are the truck percentages on this project?
Truck percent is approximately 8%.
So that's approaching kind of a high truck percentage. And David, that's why they probably have 12 feet. This is also approaching the interstate. So that would be where all these trucks would be turning from. So just to let you know, so 8% is kind of approaching the high side of when we start really make more consideration for trucks.
Emily.
I would be interested to know what kind of crossings you anticipate for this. This is your typical, if we're moving it to 6 lane, what kind of crossing setup you have?
Crossings in terms of mid-block crossings, I mean, there'll be pedestrian crosswalks at the intersections, and there are several signalized intersections along this portion of the project, but there's no mid-block crossings planned.
Did you have your hand up?
I did. Just what's the overall length and cost?
The overall length is just under a mile from Fern Hill to the eastern terminus at 301. Project cost, Ashley, you had that, it's like $38 million, including design, right of way, and construction, and
Yeah, what's the
construction engineering.
Okay, can you keep this up real quick? I just want to look at the right of way cost accounts for
6.7.
Yeah, but and the mitigation costs. Okay, yeah, 6.7, 3.2. So about 10 million of it, I would say, right? Am I reading that right?
Correct.
Rebecca.
So it's that 8%, is that only for that segment, or is that for Gibsonton coming from 41? Because I know we do have a lot of truck traffic from the port 41 trying to get over to the interstate there. But I just wondered if that 8% was just for that Fern Hill to 301.
Yes, it's just the Fern Hill to 301 segment.
I imagine it's a lot higher on the west side of that intersection.
Arizona.
The navigate, real one. The sidewalk, and the sidewalk, the sidewalk on one side and the other. So when the bus would pick up, they had their bus fee. And what that's why they pick it like that. The handicap for wheelchair, well, I could think that also not be that way.
So yes, that road should not be that wide. Kevin.
Pardon me, my voice is a little quiet today. Has there been any non-motorized counts completed for this stretch of 301 for this stretch of Gibsonton Drive? So have you counted any pedestrian or bicyclist activity on the road?
There's activity. We had pedestrian counts were included with the intersection traffic counts. I don't have those handy. Those would be in our traffic report.
And has there been any conversation with the school district? I see there's an elementary school on this route. Assuming, right now the current condition includes the truck traffic, but it's a 4-lane road with a center lane turn. Has there been any conversation around safe routes to school or traffic mitigation around that elementary school?
We haven't had any specific coordination with the school district.
I would encourage you to maybe have that conversation. You know, the expanding the road to 6 lanes. I'm not sure if there is any significant activity, but even if there is some activity, I see, you know, this corridor is mostly cut through. You have heavy port traffic. You have heavy traffic getting to 41 and 75, obviously. But for the most part, the road's kind of flanked by mostly lower income single family homes. So I'd be curious to see if you complete a non-motorized count study, how that might change your project, and more importantly, whether a conversation with the school district would be beneficial, especially to Emily's point on crossings and making sure that we're not essentially walling off pedestrians from crossing north or south, because 6 lanes is going to pretty much, you know, seal that deal of having any kind of north-south traffic from pedestrians or bicyclists.
There was a citizen that mentioned at the public hearing last night that there are school buses that do stop along the road as well as the HART buses.
Yeah.
Yeah, just real quick, and I don't want to, I just wanted to give some clarity to David's comment, but with the rural section, I mean, the urban section that you have here, the Green Book has 11-foot lanes as standard. So then, and all the footnotes point to maintaining 11-foot for transit and trucks and everything like that. I think you could probably get by with just having 11-foot. They actually allow for 10-foot lanes on, you know, based on the engineering judgment as well. But I do think that with that plus the gutter pan, you still have about another 1.5 foot of drivable space for a truck. So you probably limit that outside lane to 11 feet without much issue there, especially with a 6-lane section.
David?
I had another question. The Alafaya Scrub Nature Preserve runs along a portion of the north of this site. Would you be acquiring some of that ELAP property for this right of way, or do you already have the right of way?
No, there's no right of way plan from the nature preserve.
Thanks.
Gus?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the Google map. All those intersections are 7 to 8 lanes of intersection now to cross Gibsonton Road from any of these major intersections. So the places where they'd be expanding, is it really the best way to spend that money? I mean, we're talking certain blocks are now being expanded from 2 to 3. And I'm just looking at a map. Okay, I can tell you as a fact, as an urban dweller in this area, I've never been to this area ever. And I don't think there's any reason for me to ever go there. You know, again, there's no public transit, there's nothing direct. It would take an hour to 2 hours to get there. There isn't anything out there that I need to get to that's worth 2 hours of my time each way. But it looks like this is kind of similar to the conversation that was had about the stretch of road out in Keystone. We build it now for when there's going to be significant increase. And I think David brought up the point back then, Hart's whole budget's $115 million, their operating budget, and it was $115 million to build that stretch of road out in Keystone. You know, for growth that may not be for another 25 years. I mean, I don't know what it's like out here. I'm looking at what's on there. It's fast food, there's, you know, medical services, banking. It's already a commercial strip. And most of it at every intersection is already 6 to 8 lanes. So now we're just like making 2 to 3 mile, not even a mile of expanding the road from 2 to, what was it, to 3 or to 4? 3, making 6 lanes, which will make it, as a person who's pedestrian and a cyclist, almost impossible to cross anywhere that you're not making any changes to the intersections. All the changes are on these short strips of space that, to be honest, when I look at what else is out there, are churches. So we're talking about Sunday traffic. It's where it seems it comes. I don't know if anybody lives out there. Is it bumper to bumper out there now at 2 lanes in each direction? I mean, is it, what's the
Yeah.
congestion like?
I will state the 2022 traffic ranged from 38,000 to 56,000 vehicles per day on this part of the road. In the 2045, it's projected to be between 52 and 71,000 vehicles per day.
Can you give me an urban representation of that? Are we talking Armenia and Kennedy or?
Kennedy is about 50, I think Kennedy is 56 to 64. Bollards with 60,000 vehicles. Bayshore at the tip there, at the northern tip is like 34,000. So those are 4-lane. Those are all, I don't know about Pollard, but Kennedy's 4-lane in that section. And I know Bayshore is 4-lane in that section as well.
Right.
So 4-lane is possible. So also though, if you're telling me that it gets that much traffic, then it means that, and then there's so much commercial on that strip, it also means that there are pedestrians. It's very clear to me, at least, that pedestrians were really not a consideration when looking at designing this. And that's really unfortunate. And I would absolutely agree with my colleagues and say that 11-foot lanes at best, but you have 22 feet in the median, the middle median. I don't know why you couldn't move that in a foot or two and give much more buffer to the folks on the extended sidewalk. This is just really disappointing. It's 45 miles an hour. I mean, it's really just designed for cars, and it doesn't seem like there was any thought given to anyone else other than a car. Emily.
I want to note that you started the presentation by observing that there are higher than state average crash rates along this route. I think we should be looking therefore at more speed management techniques, reducing the speed rather than creating situations where it's faster and easier for groups to speed. And while I recognize that this section is does not go past the elementary school, that is a large connected road. We can't really just look at a couple blocks in isolation. How does increasing speeds and making it easier for people to drive fast on this section impact the traffic further down the road? There have been speed studies done on Gibsonton Drive, and they are showing that they are higher than average speeds. They are well above the posted speed limit. And not connecting that to the high crash rate just seems to me like you're not making the crash rate the priority. You're making the car movement the priority. And I think that that is just not the direction that this committee has chosen to move. We're looking at preserving human life as opposed to preserving car speed. And so I think that this is not, this road section does not meet what we have discussed and what we have asked for in our committee.
Omar.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I think there's a saying in transit that before someone's a transit rider, they're a pedestrian first, like they gotta access that bus somehow. Having a 12-foot lane closer to where the bus stop is, I mean, that's not something ultimately that makes transit more attractive. We're still gonna have bus service, in this area. I mean, people need to access the bus. But just with this bill, it's gonna make it just that much more dangerous, I feel, for those people that need to access the bus, which, from a hard perspective is a concern. We have people trying to access our service and it just becomes more dangerous for them. So just want to put that out there.
Cal.
Yeah, go ahead.
Could we respond to some of these concerns or comments that you guys are making?
Yes, go right ahead.
For some of your questions, okay. We did consider pedestrians in this study. We have 2 10-foot wide sidewalks throughout the entire corridor. Those sidewalks do not exist today. We also are providing crossings at the signalized intersections for pedestrians on both sides of the roadway. So those things were taken into consideration for the study, and it was done in coordination with Hillsborough County to consider how they want to see pedestrian movements being made along this corridor. Kirk, do you have anything to add? You look like you want to jump in.
Yeah, this is Kirk Bogan with the Florida Department of Transportation. I just wanted to say that when we do studies like these, we have to balance the factors between impacts to environment, to social, and those types of things. And as Ashley said, in coordination with the Hillsborough County, this is what we're proposing. We will take some of your concerns back to Hillsborough County, and we will talk with them about this, about your concerns, and see if there is any adjustments that need to be made. So we do hear your concerns, but we do have to, the traffic is failing now on this roadway, and capacity is one of the needs that was for the study going forward. So we do have to balance that need also. And I think we have done a good job at providing for pedestrians along the corridor. There will be signalized intersections. I think there's 4 signalized intersections within this 0.95 miles. And so I think there's adequate opportunity for protected crossings along the corridor.
Kevin.
I'm
sorry, Cal.
Just a few things to put it in perspective. The 38 million would fund the local match for the streetcar, which is like 2.6 miles. The not the whole thing, but the local match as well. And then with the area where it is, I'm kind of wondering what real quick, the median, I would not take anything out of the median because when you see a median, it looks wide, but really a median is also your turn lanes.
Oh.
So you have to accommodate for the width of the turn lane at that point. So even if the median really isn't really important, but when you do look at the traffic though, as far as the corridor, what it is, and then when you see when you look at like corridors, like Kennedy Boulevard, where you do have a significant number of people turning in and out of driveways, things like that. And then in this corridor, you don't really have a lot of development down there right now. There's a couple of apartments, but those are all signalized intersections and then like fast food and single family homes. So it's a little like it does kind of raise a red flag on what the need is out there, because it seems like I'd be interested in seeing the traffic study and all that as well, I guess is what I'm trying to say, just to kind of see what we're dealing with and where the congestion is, how the congestion is being created at.
Would you be willing to share the traffic study?
All of the documents are located online at the project website. You can view any of them. They're also currently available at the library and at the DOT office.
Kevin.
Thank you for the response there. Just a kind of a quick question. So the posted speed limit is 45 miles per hour currently on the road. Is that right?
Correct.
With this 6-lane configuration, how is this configuration impacting and reinforcing that drivers follow that posted speed limit? So in short, how are you controlling speed with this configuration?
Our design follows the design criteria for a posted speed limit of 45 miles an hour.
What is the posted speed limit? I assume in the traffic study, there's some sort of speed study. What is the current kind of moving of traffic speed that's been recognized in the study?
We did not do a speed study. We did a traffic analysis based on the number of cars and the future traffic projections. We did not do a speed study.
I would recommend that you complete a speed study. I would go as far as to say that with the current condition, that posted speeds are not the actual speeds on the road. Just kind of looking at this configuration, with it obviously adding capacity, I think what you're going to see is it's going to increase speed and thus increase your crash capacity on the road. So if the goal is this is a safety project, I think this falls short.
Off-peak speed study too.
Yes.
So like the actual travel speeds when it's not congested. And then additionally, I would say that y'all are actually exceeding the design minimums, because as we brought up, the greenbook allows for 11-foot lanes. In fact, it states 11-foot lanes in there. So I would say that it would be exceeding.
Yes.
And just to bring a point, we talked about this at other situations. I've looked at every intersection and there's no safety spot in the medians. All the crosswalks are across 7 to 8 lanes now with no median extensions for people to get across, handicapped or disabled or not disabled. I mean, I don't know how many of you have walked across 8 lanes of traffic while that clock is ticking for the walk. But every one of these intersections, there is no safety break for the median strip.
Will safety breaks be included? Anyone?
Those would be an element to look at it further in the design phase.
Emily.
I was just going to mention you might reach out to the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, which did do some work tracking speeds on Gibson Drive recently. You might also consider reaching out to that elementary school, Gibsonton Elementary, that connects further down and I believe does include students living within this area. They do have a group of students who walk or bike daily. They do have to cross Gibsonton Drive, and they have an active group there that has been advocating for safety improvements on Gibsonton Drive, both for their students and for their students' parents, because they've had several parent fatalities, which certainly impacts students at the school.
Do you have you said that there are 900 some odd accidents along this stretch. Do you have a breakdown of what type of issues, fatalities, cars, pedestrians, bicyclists?
Yes, out of the 910 crashes, 11 involved pedestrians or bikes. It was about split 50-50. There were 2 fatal crashes. Both involved angled crashes for vehicles turning. We're also the PD&E study took off from a corridor vision 0 study that the county prepared. And many of the long-term suggestions from that Vision 0 study have been incorporated into this project, including median access management adjustments at 2 locations, adding a bulb out at the Mad Hog intersection, adding islands for the right turn lanes at the US 301 intersection, as well as adding second left turn lanes or second right turn lanes at the US 301 intersection, and several other recommendations that were identified in that Vision 0 study.
That's just very interesting because I'll be honest, this is the least Vision 0 appropriate section that I've seen on this committee. I mean, and I'm getting a lot of nods around the room. This is not focused on safety. This is focused on moving cars. Larry.
Yes, I'd like to ask a question. Why was the outside lane made 12 feet if it could be 11 feet, which would also contribute to slowing traffic down with the narrower lanes?
We made a presentation last year to the Hillsborough County Technical Advisory Committee, and that was a recommendation that came from that committee to make the outside lane 12 feet, and as well through the coordination with county staff.
That's the TPO committee, correct?
Correct.
Yes, TAC is the TPO. Okay, just wanted to make sure.
I just might recommend in the future that when you go see that technical committee, you also see this committee at the same time to kind of mesh those ideas before you bring it forward, would be my future suggestion, because safety is the absolute top priority. Keeping people alive is the absolute top priority and should be the top priority of FDOT along with this committee.
Can I follow up?
David.
Since the technical committee recommended that, do you remember what their justification was? They just like 12-foot lanes? Is that what?
It was due to the heavy vehicles that use and access I-75, and to better accommodate truck access.
And if that was the
Yeah.
entire, was that voiced in the committee or that was voted on by the committee?
That was voiced in the committee.
So it wasn't even a vote of the committee, was it? I'm wondering if just one individual steered this into 12-foot lanes instead of, if the committee didn't vote on recommending 12-foot lanes, I don't know why you would include it. I would think you would.
This is Kirk Bogan again. Can I just help us with that? We will go back and we will talk with the county about that. But the wider lanes are used because trucks do have mirrors that overhang their trucks, and you don't want it close. You want to have enough space from the walking public if the sidewalk have to get closer. And so we will go back and we will consider those. And so I think we've heard your message. If you have anything else that you would like us to convey that's different than what we've already heard, then we definitely be willing to listen.
Rebecca.
Just a comment, there's a 282,000 square foot hospital being built just north of the Boyette Road on 301. So they're gonna have a lot of emergency vehicles coming in and off of the interstate, which also means it needs to be super safe for the hurt people coming off the interstate.
Good comment. Thank you. Okay, well, then we look forward to this coming back to us so we can see some changes. Okay, thank you all. Next, Access 2050 LRTP outreach survey. How many people have done the survey already?
That's a great question. You may leave, but I really hope you don't. Glad to see that you guys did.
So 5 of us have already done the survey. That's great. Yay.
I saw new things in the survey too. Things I'd never heard of in this meeting being proposed on that. So that was interesting. It was interesting how they got onto there, but we've never discussed them at all. That's just was an observation when I took it. I was like, oh, what's that? When did we ever talk about that? We had, so there were things on there. I understand that they're ideas and we were rating them, that we agree with them and whatnot. But it's kind of surprised to see things that I'd never heard of discussed in these meetings, and particularly in this meeting, and this is, I guess, because where I sit.
I'd love an example of one if you.
Some kind of, it's a green line that ran from university area to
Absolutely.
What's the county south of it?
Oh, yeah, that was something requested by Sarasota. I'll definitely walk through that part of it, and that's an excellent observation. And it's, well, I'm Gina Torres, by the way. I'm the assistant director of the Transportation Planning Organization. And we've done this before if you've been around for a while, but we are updating our transportation long range plan. We do this every 5 years, and we really need some help from everybody in the community and this group and beyond, everyone, if we can, to just help get some ideas on shaping our future of transportation. And I do love this committee. Personally, I loved your conversations in that last discussion. But if you didn't know, we are looking at potentially 2 million people moving and living here by 2050. And we have to make some decisions now where money should be spent to ensure that we can walk and bike, take a bus, take transit, maybe take a ferry for the places that we need to go. So we have launched a survey, the Access 2050 survey. We really need to hear what some of the priorities are in our community. And when we get to that screen, you'll see that, you know, the priorities, we don't spell out projects in the long range plan for some of those safety projects, so transit, because we would have this really long list. But what we do is kind of basically like buckets of funding for those projects. And then we get to the major projects, which are so expensive, at least 5 million or more dollars or more, that we list those specifically so we can get some feedback on what, because we can't fund them all. So anyway, I'll just keep moving through. You guys are pretty knowledgeable about this. So we're looking over for the next 20 years, and that's our responsibility as a TPO, is taking that federal and state dollars and kind of putting towards the community's priorities. So in this survey, you're going to share your thoughts on priorities, how we fund them, and what the major projects are. Yes, Councilwoman.
And that was the thing I think that shocked me most about these priorities. Generally speaking, I never choose car, anything as a priority. And this is just me personally taking it. And I wasn't able to get to 5 things that didn't involve cars, and I was just disappointed because generally speaking, that's where I see the problem in this community. So the fact that there weren't enough things that I could put on there that didn't focus on cars was just as a citizen a disappointment.
So I know that some of you have taken it, but you can take it a number of different ways. You can use your phone, you can fill out a paper survey, or have 2 iPads. It makes it a little easier. Does anybody want either of these iPads? It's already on here. Are you gonna get off your phone, or would you like a paper survey? You are taking the survey right now, so. Say, no, I don't want it. I'll do paper.
I was surprised there was no, that there was no ferry mentioned this time.
Oh, then I have. Actually, we're really close. It's a great question. Or paper.
Paper.
Okay. And have the argument. Oh, Arizona, you may do this at home later if you feel it's just of interest in here. Anybody want paper? All right.
Yeah.
I'll move forward. Is it everybody?
So we can.
Access2050.org if you're on your computer or on your phone. You can scan it. All right, let's go. What would you like, Arizona? I didn't hear you. Are you gonna do this at home? iPad. Oh, sure. Church says.
Is there interaction with the business community to try to get them to get their employees to put some information in here?
We are.
Guys, on Monday, I started working for MetLife at 75 and Bruce B. Downs, and I will tell you that probably none of the employees there know anything about this. And I was really surprised at the number of questions about 75 development. So those are people that are commuting on those roads.
You're on the forward. This is it's up.
Yeah. Oh, great. You moved up there.
Yeah.
It's on that place before. Okay. Thank you. You're gonna be on the welcome screen, and obviously everyone's got, hopefully, are doing it. I'm not gonna walk around to see what if you're texting on your phone, if you're taking a survey. So we're gonna move to the purple screen, screen 2. And this is where you can tell us what's the most important to you. So in the priorities tab, you're gonna drag your top 5 transportation priorities above the dotted line. And please rank them in order of importance. And this is on the paper, you would put like a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 on that. If when you look up, most of you, I will move forward. So this, I do understand what you're saying. Her tag. Well, there's a few on there. Oh, yeah, I see.
But just safety, that like there wasn't an option that said, hey, I want, like, the pedestrian cyclist safety is a priority, and that's one of my highest priorities, and that's not a priority.
Right. Well, having faith in us is kind of, that is quantitative maybe, but when we say reducing pressures in our long range plan and our TIP, those projects fall into Vision Zero. So like, these are kind of project related. Okay, so we're gonna move to funding sources, which is green. And we want to get your thoughts on how we should pay for transportation. So the funding sources tab allows you to, you need your input on 5 different options, and each section will require you to answer like approve or deliver using the green thumb up. That's pretty obvious. You can also leave comments if you want to, with the little circle comment sign. So the first option is a community investment tax, and this is a current tax that benefits our education, public safety, and transportation. So we already paid this, but it is set to expire. Well, I didn't move forward. Or I moved forward, but you don't see it up there, so I'm just gonna assume it'll catch up. Besides, you guys are on your screens anyway. So just to give you an idea, kind of like, just to gauge that a medium income individual would pays about $53 a year for that half cent tax that we have for CIT. And then it would be $106 per year for a 1 cent tax. So your options are to allow it to expire, to keep it as it is, or to renew and increase to 12 cents. 1 cent. I've gone ahead on my screen and you haven't.
So this is where I was confused because can you put a thumbs up for more options? Like for me, I'm fine with renewing it or increasing it, but I don't want it to die. So I chose thumbs up for renewing and increasing. And I chose thumbs down for the other.
Right. That captures that.
That's okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can do that. The second option is the gas tax is about 7 cents per gallon. And it does fund a lot of our maintenance and building roads and highways. It's a fee imposed by the government on each gallon of gas. And that is also set to expire, but not until 2042. And those options are let it expire, allowed to expire, maintain it at 7 cents or increase it to 12 cents. And keep going. The third option is transit service property tax, and it funds transit service and maintenance. And again, I'm gonna give you like an example, a home with a median assessed value of about $200,000 would pay $100 per year at the current $500,000. If we increase it to 1, that same $1 per 100,000, the assessed home value would be at $200 a year. If it went up to $3, it'd be $600 a year. To just kind of give you an idea. So either we maintain that we currently pay, be suggesting increasing it to $1 or reducing it to $3 per 100,000.
The average home cost in Hillsborough County, isn't it more like $300 to $400?
Nowadays, yeah.
Okay.
But that just to kind of give you an idea of how much people are paying. The fourth option is express toll lanes, like on the Veterans at Selman. Express toll lanes on highways are used to mostly reduce traffic. Toll prices can be set to remain constant at all times, or they can be adjusted. Your options here are to add new toll lanes on existing highways, convert existing lanes to toll lanes. And then there's 2 other questions about toll prices. Should they remain the same at all times, or should they be increased during higher traffic?
Very imaginative.
What did you say?
The variable pricing based on traffic, very imaginative.
And the last option we're asking for feedback on is these other funding sources like the driver license fee and rideshare services. These funding sources would require a lot of community input and advocacy and approval by the Florida legislature. So these are just ideas that have been thrown out there, but there were a lot more that we could come up with, but these probably had a little bit more traction, but it would still require like voter approval, and Florida legislature would need to change. So now if you've completed the 5 sections, you're on to the last section. This is the red tab, should be red in your paper. We're going to ask you to click on each color bubble and let us know if you support this transportation project. Same way you've been doing, yes, there you go. Each of the projects are broken down by color, and this legend indicates the red projects are highway widening, purple projects are elevated and managed lanes, the green projects are transit, and the yellow are new or modified interchanges. So let's start with, let's see. The 4 yellow interchange projects. These are new or modified interchange projects, and if we start at the far south of the county, you can do this how you want, but I'm just going to walk through them in this manner. At the far south, there's a new interchange on I-75 suggested to near Fort Hammer. This is kind of down by Manatee. You approve or disapprove. The second would be at I-75 reconstructing the interchange that's currently there at 301. The third is building a new interchange at I-75 near Harney Road by Temple Terrace. And the fourth would be a new interchange at I-75 near US 41 heading towards Pasco. The next group are the 6 green projects. These are transit projects, and we're starting on the top left, like the west side of the county. So an east-west Metro Rapid that would connect communities from West Shore and Airport to Temple Terrace. There's a testing that we'd like to do for the CSX border. That would be, it's been identified for a long time, honestly, by lots of different agencies for fixed skyway transit and even trails along this border, going down to like Picnic Island. The third transit project, downtown Tampa, USF to Brandon Premium Transit, having exclusive guideway connecting the active areas of USF downtown Tampa and Brandon. We're not mode specific here. Currently, there's probably opinionating, but probably more support these days for bus rapid transit type of service, but you never know in the future what happens. Here's streetcar extension, taking that from Fort Worth Garage up to Palm and all those great things that are happening in Tampa Heights. This is maybe the project that you were mentioning, the regional passenger transit from Brooksville to Bradenton and passing through our county. Sarasota asked us to test this in our model to see if there was any traction on whether that would be a good project. And the last one, USF to Brandon, bus rapid transit, servicing USF to Brandon along 50th or 56th Street. Well, 50th, they changed names, it's the same road. There are 6 purple projects, so I'm on the purple screen now. They're elevated or managed lanes, and we started the bridges over the bay from left to right. So I-275 managed lanes, adding 2 lanes in each direction. That's Howard Franklin. Replacing the Gammy Bridge with new elevated highway and connecting to the Salmon. There's a possible project on 75 north managed lanes, adding 2 express toll lanes in each direction. Another similar, but on I-4, also 2 express toll lanes in each direction. And the last would be on I-75 managed 2. Oh, yes, is that the last one? Yes, adding 2 toll lanes in each direction.
You up there, the one up Odessa Keystone.
I'm sorry, what was that?
The Odessa Keystone one you didn't mention.
Okay, let me go back. That's the one that I think.
So,
And I did, I mentioned.
Dana,
Yes,
in your knowledge, what is it? What's the typical cost or average cost for a new interchange?
of a new interchange. I have no idea, honestly. That's really a really.
It's worth 38.
Yeah. Good question, David. I think I will have that in my notes as backup for, the kinds of questions.
I mean,
It's still roughly 500
Yeah.
million.
500 million.
Oh, yeah.
Easily.
If 1 mile is 38 million, then
Right, so a new, I mean.
Yes, good point.
When people are ranking things, and I don't know how to do, I would.
That's cost.
That's some of the reason just my opinion, that we can't have nice things because we put all our eggs in one thing for one little area and then we're like, oh, we got no money for, and I know they come from different pots and all that stuff, but
Do you have Kevin, because I think you probably answered about West Shore. I'm having a feeling. And then I'm gonna finish, we're almost done.
Sorry, from at least West Shore's perch, it's about a $1 billion project. But the context of the interchange matters, the space matters, obviously the right of way matters. I mean, half of that cost was just the acquisition of the buildings and the knock down for it. But then also, I think what's unique to West Shore is because they're building the plane as they're ready for takeoff. So the amount of, how do I say this nicely, over engineering that's going on with the flyovers and just the project being really a project of height that raises the cost.
Probably a much more complex interchange.
It is,
Yes.
it will be a very complex interchange and you're gonna be at least 2 stories above.
Yeah.
where you're driving.
Right. Yeah, that one's pretty, that's different.
That's it, yeah, and that's very different.
I'm gonna
compared to like the
widen
Right,
it, so we can have more conversation if we want to. I just want it, just in case, you guys probably finished this already, but let me just get through. There are 7 widening projects recommended. I should giggle because I have least favorite ones and I need to just stay neutral. But the first one would be I-275 widening from Hillsborough to Bears from 6 to 8 lanes. 6 to 8. Oh my God. Next, I love the rest of the highway, so I'm gonna try to look. The second would be US 301, expressway extension, building a new elevated highway above US 301 from the Salmon Expressway to Big Bend. This one has 2 different colors because the idea from Thea would be that they would include a bus service on that. The next would be Baum Road widening from 2 to 4 lanes. This is Clement Pride Boulevard to Baum Riverview. Another, we've heard a lot about this particular one, is a Lithia Pinecrest Road widening, Kings Avenue to Fishoff from 2 to 4. Here's where the cost of some of these projects probably would be really beneficial to talk about, but.
Yes, that's, I think David's point as well.
State Road 60 widening from Valrica Road to Polk County Line from 4 to 6 lanes. County Road 39 from 674, I guess that's by some city center, to State Road 60, 2 to 4. And the last one is US 92, kind of paralleling I-4 here, Park Road to Polk County Line from 2 to 4 lanes. So we're finished up. We're gonna get to the wrap up. Larry.
You know, I look at all these projects and they're like increasing the existing roads. And, you know, I look at other communities that I'm kind of familiar with. You know, you look at Pinellas County and you look at like Miami-Dade communities, and the road systems in those communities are a gridded system where they have many alternative roads. And it seems like we're focused on widening these few roads that we have. And there are limited crossings of the rivers. So everything funnels down to 3 or 4 major roads, 301, 41, 75 that go over those. And I've missed one road that's further west.
Shows.
So why aren't we, you know, and I don't know if it's because this county has developed from a rural type community. Why are we not looking at gridded systems and putting at least 1 or 2 more connections over these rivers? You know, and I know to span those rivers is a lot of environmental impacts and large costs for bridges. But when you're talking about in widening I-275 and looking at the intersections that you have to walk, interchanges that you have to increase there, you're probably in the same range of expenses, you know, like David, both Kevin and David brought up, you know, the interchange at West Chase, you know, $1 billion. Well, why aren't we focusing on creating a better gridded system and more crossings of the rivers instead of just focusing on trying to widen these?
I mean, I can think of like Citrus Park Drive was a new road. Like these are new roads you're talking about. Maydale Bridge was something that was funded, you know, these major projects are we asked for input on what to study in these larger road widening projects. There's nothing to stop anybody, the county or the city, from considering roads that their own roadway system and connect with better connections. I don't think that those particular connections might have impacted the entire system as much as these, both in cost and their congestion or the other things that are looked at for major projects. I do want to assure the committee before everyone leaves that typically in our long range plan, when we get to the part of making it cost feasible, we put the funding towards those priority projects safety, transit, and whatever's left over, we assign most of the time to any of those major projects, which maybe one gets funded in the next, I mean, it is to be reasonable about this. We are studying all these, but in reality, I've been here over a lot of years. And we have funded, we've done Bruce B. Downs widening, 40th Street, Citrus Park Drive, like a handful of major projects have been done, other than the highways, which have a lot more funding. But anyway, I just wanted to like kind of set the reality of that. Major projects are so expensive and it takes a long time, but effort. I definitely think that you're making a great point, Larry, because that's why I live in the city. I love the grid network. And of course, Pinellas is dense and built out and they're smaller than we are. We have such a unique county. It's so large, so many rural areas, but those connections are really important. David, did you want to add?
I love Larry's suggestion of we've got to get new bridges across that river. It's a huge mess down there, funneling all those people onto those 3 bridges. So anything you need to do to get that done. I will say some of the major projects are in the rural service area and like 39, 60. I really wish we as a county could get away. If it's in the rural area, you should not expect a 4-lane road. And I know FDOT's got their opinion of what people are traveling regionally, but we can't have the whole area function as a suburb to get a truck at 60 miles an hour through everything. They need to go to the interstate or whatever to get. We should not be allocating large resources of money to the rural area.
I would imagine that those won't test as well as some of the others. Plus, there might be policy decisions that don't allow outside the urban service area for that kind of thing, but these are being tested. I do want to tell you, if you put your email in there, I had to look up who these people were, but we do have concert tickets for Bad Bunny and Kane Brown. They look amazing, by the way. You didn't know who they were. The Bucks tickets, we have public gift card and some Mosey prizes. So really you're not disqualified for being on the LRC. So make sure that you put your email address if you want to be in the drawing for those. Like, definitely your zip code.
Only get entered once.
Yeah.
We've had people go, oh, I fill it out on time.
Although your kids. Okay,
In previous iterations of this, there was the moving of the penny and dividing. I really liked that. I think that kind of goes toward what he's saying about the cost of something. And even if you went with the penny and were able to say, okay, for these major projects, you have 50 cents. And this, the new I-275 interchange near Fort Hammer is going to be, 30 of those cents. So I think something that really, because right now, no one knows how much stuff costs and they're like, yeah, bring it on. But then they get mad because then it doesn't happen.
Right.
But
you should see the iteration of the survey that we tried to come up with. I mean, not to make it too complicated, make it so people could finish it, but totally get that point.
Okay, Emily, I'm sorry, Kevin and then Larry.
Oh, yeah, go. Can you let Kevin in? He's got an appointment and he's gonna take it at my office. Could you swipe him in? Yeah, so anyway, I didn't have anything else. I was gonna say the long print is set to be adopted in October. So we're gonna look through all of the input that we get. The survey ends in April 15th, is that tax day? And if you have groups, if you want to share, I didn't bring any of our cards, you can take these with you, please. Want more and more people to fill out the survey, welcome present, whatever. Okay. Thank you. I'm done.
Gus.
Can you update us, not at this moment, but at some point? How many people are increasingly taking the survey every year? If it's the same 300 people, then we're not doing something right.
Oh, no, we get lots. Right now, we're over 1,000. Great. We've had at sometimes when we did this really big effort, remember, David, when we were doing comp plan 2, there's like 11,000, but we're shooting for 3,000. But if you get like 1,500, that's already kind of supposedly makes it, what do you call that? When your surveys are defensible by the population size and
Scientifically significant.
Thank you. Thank you, whoever that was.
Okay, thank you.
That's a good point.
Do we have any old business? Do we have any new business? Okay, I've got a little bit of new business. I have just a couple of things that I want to let folks know about because you care about Livable Roadways. You also probably care a little bit about housing. Just letting you know that the city of Tampa is doing a housing workshop next Thursday at 9 a.m. If you cannot be there, that's totally fine. We all have to work, but catch it online if you can watch it or go watch afterward. We're going to be talking about the housing needs assessment and then a roadmap for how we can get more housing within the city. It's really important. So that's just a real priority for the city right now. And as far as this committee goes, I don't know if you all know that I am one of the representatives from the TPO that sits on the TMA, which is the regional group that includes Pasco and Pinellas. And right now the state has required us to consider what it would look like to do a merger. I sit as a member of the TPO, but I also sit as a member from from the city of Tampa. City of Tampa has veto power over the entire possibility. So we're doing a lot of discussion. We only meet every quarter. Right now, we have talked about appropriation of seats. And our last meeting was last Friday, and we had a general consensus that we would include the airport and the port on like off the top, or about if there were 25 seats, then there would be 23 seats left for the counties to divide up. So that's kind of where we are right now. But one of the things I brought forward was the city of Tampa has just won a RIA grant. I don't know. It's a federal grant from Building Better Communities. And basically it's a very small, well, it's a $1.4 million grant that allows us to work with the federal government to then get loans to do transportation projects. And we have the opportunity to get several $1 billion worth of loans that will be paid off by transit-oriented development around that area that we wouldn't have to pay until everything is built and done. So it's really exciting. And the federal government has done a great job of coming to the cities and bypassing the states and the counties, which is really what blue cities, okay, I'll take politics out of it, but what cities, large cities need. So I have asked for a couple of our team members to present at the TMA, and I would also, and that would probably be in April or May. So I don't know if we could get maybe a video of that, or I don't know the appropriateness of it to come here yet. I don't know where we are on that. And of course, Cal's not in the room right now. So I just wanted to let you know that those are things that are coming up, and I will try to update you at this meeting of what's happening at the TMA and what's happening with that RIA. We have a long way to go, but basically our main projects are everything we've been talking about here, the BRT, connecting from the new Bright Line, or downtown to the airport, like just regional transportation projects. And the great thing is these can be regional, so we can reach out to Pasco and Pinellas, which is why I'm having our RIA team come to present to the TMA. So just wanted to kind of speed you all up on that. So.
They're gonna come here, or they're going.
Or if we're going to merge the yes.
Well, everything's being debated. Like that's a huge, I mean, we are at the very beginning of the discussion and we have agreed to discuss it, and that's about as far as we've gotten. Yeah. So. Does anybody need a pass? Okay. If there's not anything else, have a wonderful rest of your February. See you in March.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.